On Dirty Laundry, that song is very revealing for you, and you did reveal how you were in a relationship and it was abusive. We don't know the identity of the guy, but have you forgiven him since then?
Absolutely. We've spoken since then, so absolutely.
Roy Williams didn't just deny abusing Kelly Rowland. He accidentally blew open a secret that's been buried for 20 years. In 2024, the former NFL star sat down with Vibe Vixen and revisited the day he called off their 2005 wedding. He said he realized, in his words, "We didn't know each other well enough." It sounded calm, even mature. But to anyone who remembers Kelly's 2013 single Dirty Laundry, those words hit like a spark in a room filled with gas. Because in that song, Kelly didn't just hint at heartbreak. She painted a portrait of emotional and physical pain, of a man who tried to break her spirit while the world watched her smile beside her best friend. For years, fans assumed that man was Roy. Now, with Roy publicly denying any wrongdoing, every finger is pointing at one man, Jay-Z.
In the film itself, I call him the normal, regular guy, the simple guy. He kind of won your heart over. How does that relate to how you are personally as a person, and for a person like that to actually win your heart over?
All it takes is a conversation, which is exactly where that love began in the movie. It just took a conversation.
The timing could not be worse for him. In 2023, Kelly admitted during an interview that her abuser was still powerful in the industry. She refused to name him, but the internet did the math. By early 2025, Jay-Z's name wasn't just floating in conversation. It was pinned to 2 explosive lawsuits that shook the industry and forced his legal team into overdrive. First came the case filed by a woman who alleged that Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs assaulted her when she was 13 back in 2000. The complaint was graphic, the details disturbing, and for a brief moment it looked like one of the most powerful figures in music might finally face questions about his past. Then, in April, the woman dropped her lawsuit, calling it a money grab. Before that happened, Jay-Z's lawyers had fought to dismiss the case, citing what they called inconsistencies in her story. Weeks later, another lawsuit erupted. A man named Joseph Manzaro claimed he was taken to a so-called freak-off event in Miami in 2015 and that Jay-Z and Beyoncé were present. The accusation made national headlines, until it suddenly vanished. By mid-April, Manzaro quietly removed the couple's names from his filing after Jay-Z's attorney proved that both artists were hundreds of miles away that weekend, one speaking at NYU, the other vacationing in Hawaii. 2 lawsuits, 2 retractions, but both cases had one thing in common. Jay-Z's team didn't just defend him, they erased him from the record. That pattern, swift denial, legal muscle, total disappearance, has become a calling card for the Carter Empire. Insiders in the entertainment law world say Alex Spiro, Jay-Z's attorney, has developed a reputation for what they call scorched earth cleanups, shutting down stories before they can breathe. So when Roy Williams cleared his name, that same silence from the Carters felt louder than ever. Because while those cases collapsed in court, a different kind of evidence, emotional, behavioral, visual, was being re-examined online.
People wanted those stories for years. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that people wanted those stories for years, and that's just so sad on them because it's not like that. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. And I just think it's so sad that we live in a world where people don't want to see women get along and encourage and empower each other. And that's what we do for each other.
At the 2021 premiere of The Harder They Fall, a Netflix film produced by Jay-Z, cameras caught him turning around on the red carpet and freezing when he saw Kelly Rowland. The clip went viral overnight. His face flashed with what looked like shock. Then he smiled, hugged her, and said the words that launched 1,000 theories. "I didn't even know you were here." Was that surprise? Or guilt? The internet split down the middle. To some, it was the innocent reaction of a man seeing an old friend. To others, it was the look of someone caught off guard by the one person who still knew the truth. That moment would have faded if not for what came next. Just months earlier, Kelly had called her canceled wedding embarrassing in an interview with Cosmopolitan UK. She said she was too young, too naive, and that she hated facing the public after the split. What she didn't explain was why she used that word, embarrassing, instead of simply calling it painful or disappointing. Now, fans are wondering if the shame she spoke of had less to do with Roy and more to do with what happened after him. Because if Roy wasn't the man behind Dirty Laundry, someone else was, and that someone still had the power to shape narratives, block stories, and make lawsuits vanish.
And it was pretty much said like, Jay doesn't really want awards. Well, he go to the Grammys.
Right.
He you know, come into the Black-owned spaces. Let's figure out how to work together so that way we have the relationship when it matters, not when it's convenient for you and your image. Because they all call us when the story is up that they don't like.
In parallel, Jay-Z's network of media control has been under quiet scrutiny. In late 2024, gossip host Jason Lee went public claiming that Jay-Z and Beyoncé's team had been calling him repeatedly about the growing Diddy scandal. He said on his podcast, "You can call me yourself because this right here is going to go viral." He later added that if he went missing, people should remember who had been contacting him. It wasn't a threat, he clarified, but it sounded like pressure. Around the same time, Piers Morgan admitted that Jay-Z's lawyer demanded he edit an interview with Jaguar Wright after she made disturbing claims about the couple. Morgan apologized on air, saying those statements were totally false. Yet the speed of that retraction only fueled speculation that the Carters had something far bigger to protect. Against that backdrop, Kelly Rowland's loyalty to Jay-Z has always seemed unusually strong. In early 2024, she praised his Grammy speech, calling him one of the greatest men I know. For years, she's referred to him as her big bro, publicly defending him while the internet picked apart her old lyrics. But insiders familiar with Destiny's Child's early days say the relationship between Kelly and Jay-Z was closer than fans realized. During the group's meteoric rise, he was frequently around, appearing in studio sessions, touring events, and promotional shoots. Back then, the girls were in their late teens, and Jay-Z was already a seasoned businessman nearing 30. The power imbalance was obvious.
Okay, no, I mean, with this record, I did want to be more honest when it came to relationships and my take and my perspective on relationships. That sound like something else and not something vibrant.
When Dirty Laundry dropped in 2013, Kelly described a period when she was isolated from her family and controlled by a partner who monitored her every move. She said that man made her feel invisible next to her best friend's success. In hindsight, fans note that these details align more closely with the structure of Kelly's professional life than with her short engagement to Roy. Roy lived in Texas. Jay-Z controlled her label connections, press opportunities, and access to producers in New York. If the abuser was still powerful in the industry, as she later confirmed, Roy simply doesn't fit.
Oh, no, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
We also can't ignore the timing of her emotional breakdowns. In 2013, months after Dirty Laundry, she was photographed crying after a private dinner with Beyoncé and Jay-Z. No explanation was given, but the images spread across social media. Some said it was joy. Others, looking back now, think it was something else entirely. A moment of confrontation or closure between three people bound by complicated history. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's public image has been under pressure from multiple fronts. The renewed paternity claims by Rymir Satterthwaite, who insists Jay-Z fathered him in the early 90s, have not gone away. Jay-Z's legal filings describe the case as a decades-long campaign of harassment. Yet Rymir's side argues that the rapper refuses a simple DNA test. The woman at the center of that story, Rymir's late mother, was reportedly 16 when she met Jay-Z. Again, an age gap. Again, legal maneuvers to avoid a definitive answer. The parallels between that situation and the whispers about Kelly are impossible to ignore.
I don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy and none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that, you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
Within industry circles, whispers have grown louder about how much control Jay-Z's team exerts over coverage. Publicists claim that entertainment outlets have quietly dropped stories about his past after receiving calls from Roc Nation representatives. One journalist told us that editors describe him as radioactive, someone whose name can cost a publication access to half the industry. It's this climate of intimidation that makes Kelly's silence feel less like choice and more like necessity. She knows what happens when people challenge that system. When we trace the timeline back to Destiny's Child's early tours, the environment around the young singers looks even murkier. Matthew Knowles once admitted that 2 older male performers were removed from a joint tour after inappropriate behavior toward the girls. If such incidents were happening in their orbit, the possibility of other transgressions cannot be dismissed. Jay-Z entered that same circle soon after, collaborating with Beyoncé and maintaining close contact with Kelly. If the pattern continued, then Dirty Laundry might have been more than a metaphor. It might have been a warning hidden in plain sight.
How do you know I'm not a gangster? Or used to be a gangster? I've been in the music industry for 30 years.
Yeah, the industry's filled with gangsters.
By the time Roy Williams resurfaced to deny abuse, Kelly had already reestablished herself as a respected actress and mentor, appearing in films and talent shows. She had every reason to leave that chapter closed, but Roy's denial reopened it. His calm assertion that he ended their relationship out of maturity, not conflict, directly contradicted the emotional landscape of her song. Kelly's song, Dirty Laundry, remains a riddle, half confession, half cry for help. For years, we thought it was about Roy Williams, but his denial reset the board. The only other figure who fits the clues, a powerful mentor connected to her inner circle, still untouchable 2 decades later, is Jay-Z. Every time the theory gains traction, his legal team tightens the reins. Every time someone tries to speak, the footage disappears, the posts vanish, the stories get corrected. We've watched this playbook unfold for years. Foxy Brown's teenage collaboration rewritten as harmless nostalgia, Carmen Bryan's pregnancy dismissed as gossip, Rymir's paternity case buried under paperwork, and now Letitia Maker's claims fading into the algorithm. Each incident alone could be coincidence. Together, they form a pattern too consistent to ignore. And through all of it, Kelly Rowland's silence stands like a wall, sturdy, elegant, and deliberate. Kelly has never named her abuser, but Jay-Z's team has spent 2025 making sure no one else can name him either. So we're left with one question. If all of these stories are lies, why work so hard to erase them? Are we seeing a smear campaign against a legend, or the quiet panic of a man with too much to lose? Tell us what you believe in the comments, because the truth might finally be closer than anyone thinks. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your receipts ready. This story is far from over.